Good morning. Good morning. It is 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. on the dot, and it is Mantra Monday. This is the time when we recite together, remember together, uplifting verses, mantras that transcend this mundane reality that we're living in, that are spiritually charged, spiritually potent, and help revive our memory of who we really are at a soul level. You hear people say that a lot, but I'm talking about, when I say soul level, I'm talking about an existence or a life, really, not merely just an existence, that is beyond all temporary bodily designations, that is free of creed, caste, and origin. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to show up here. Today is Memorial Day. It's a good day to remember people who have sacrificed, and human life, of course, is meant for sacrifice. It's what makes life sacred. When we just kind of, lay around and take everything for granted, it's not a good look. We have been exploring the Sikshastakam. The Sikshastakam are the 8 instructions. Again, for those of you who are just watching me for the first time, Shiksha means instruction, and Astaka means 8. Sikshastakam. So again, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a saint, scholar, and mystic who left these verses at the end of a very short but very charismatic and very powerful Leela, manifested as a life here on earth during the time that corresponds to the Renaissance in the West. So he departed at the age of 48. He spent his first years teaching, exhibiting some extraordinary qualities, and then he spent his middle years as a wandering mendicant, trying to awaken people. And then in the last 12 years of his life, he spent it in isolation in Jagannath Puri with 2 intimate associates, with Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, exhibiting the mellows of ecstatic love. So the title for this, or I should say the sort of like the tagline for this class today, was the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So I want to give a little bit of background, or I want to explain, what it is that I meant by that, or what we're talking about here. So, as is above, so is below. Good morning. So you'll hear people say, or healers say, or teachers say, that, all of us contain a little bit of, if we're women, we contain a little bit of the masculine. If we're masculine, we contain a little bit of the feminine qualities. And so this is true in the Godhead as well. But this is a very specific pastime. It's a very specific incarnation. This is a very specific avatar. Chaitanya is a very specific avatar in that he is trying to experience the mood of Srimati Radharani and the enjoyment and the bliss that she feels in separation from him. So there is you may have noticed on the photograph that I used for the event, you'll see that there is Chaitanya as a mendicant, with a shaven head, because when you take sannyas, you shave your hair, because of course women find hair very attractive, and so since you're trying to be renounced, you don't want to, get caught up in that, to hook into that. So that's the reason for the shaved head, because you're basically living like a monk. So Ramananda Roy is the personality that's sitting on the bank, and Chaitanya wanted to reveal who he was transcendentally to this very, very intimate associate of his. And so he revealed that he was actually a blend of the divine masculine in the personality of Godhead, Krishna, and the divine feminine in the internal potency of God, Srimati Radharani. So you'll see on that photo to the left and to the right side, there is Krishna and Srimati Radharani standing there. So this gets into the internal reason or the internal mission of why Chaitanya descended in this age, this very troubled age of Kali, to perform his pastimes. And that is, again, out of great compassion. And of course, Radharani is very, very compassionate, and said that she's more compassionate than Krishna himself. Feminine energy tends to be like that. So this is not to downplay the Lord's compassion, but just to give you an idea of some of the internal dynamics here. So at any rate, to descend to start the Sankirtan movement so we could change the vibration on this planet and become self-realized very quickly, and extend the white lotus of benediction to all living entities. But everyone also has their personal reasons for doing things, and the Lord is no different. He is a person, and he also has very close and intimate companions that stay with him eternally, that are essentially expansions of his own internal energy. They are Vishnu Tattva, and in the case of Radharani, they are also God. So he wanted to reveal that to Ramananda Roy, to say, you know, I am assuming this form of a devotee with the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, with the mood of Srimati Radharani, in the mood of Vipralanga. So in ecstatic love, in prema, there are actually two moods. It's divided into two portions. If you refer to the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rupa Goswami, otherwise known as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when you get to the chapter, there are several chapters on the different kinds of loving exchanges that you can have when you are reinstated in your eternal position. And one of those, or the topmost, is considered to be conjugal love. And in that, Rupa Goswami explains a lot of things, but he explains the difference between meeting, being with the beloved, which is called Sambhoga. Bhoga means to enjoy, sam, with, and Vipralanga, which means in separation, love and separation. So Srimati Radharani's mood is most ecstatic when she is experiencing love in separation from, because there is an anticipation of meeting the beloved. So like I said last week, if you've ever been in love, if you've ever been in a very intense love affair, it's wonderful, being with that person, being with your beloved. You are diving in and out of emotions. This is the stuff of fairy tales. This is the stuff of love songs. This is the stuff of epic tragedies, right? Like Romeo and Juliet. But when you are separated from your beloved, you experience a kind of a misery, of course, from that separation, but you also experience a kind of a happiness, because you are remembering the beloved, and you are sort of reliving, and you are tasting all those things that you did when you were together, but you are also anticipating the future and what it is going to be like when you are reunited with your beloved. So that is the emotional kind of duality that we experience in separation from our object of love. So Srimati Radharani is no different than that. And I am going to get into the verse. I'm going to read it to you in Sanskrit from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by or compiled by Krishna Das Kaviraj, who is one of the biographers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is Antya Leela, chapter 20, and we are already at verse 39, which goes like this. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravashayitam sunyayitam jagat sharvam govinda virehena me. Udvega divashanayaya kashana haila yuga sama varshana mega praya ashru varishe nayanta. So, yuga yitam nimeshena chakshusha pravarsha yitam. Let me break that down. Yuga yitam, appearing like a great millennium. Nimishena, by a moment. Chakshusha, from the eyes. Pravashayitam, tears falling like torrents of rain. Sunyayitam, appearing void. Jagat, the world. Sharvam, all. Govinda, from Lord Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. Virahena, may. By my separation, my Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider a moment, a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world as void. So I'm going to read that again. My Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world as void. So, wow, this is to scale. So, the Supreme Lord, who is acting in a covered incarnation as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is diving into and is experiencing, is channeling, if you like, the mood of Srimati Radharani, his internal potency in ecstatic love and prema for him. And as such, because of the separation, every moment seems like a millennium. And a millennium is a very, very, very long time, you know. Also, sometimes you see this verse translated as that, you know, I see every moment as being 12 years or more. So that's just to give us some idea of what, on a human scale, right? Because we don't live that long. in these bodies, we don't live that long. So that's just to give us an idea of what Srimati Radharani, what Chaitanya is experiencing in this mood of vipralanga, or in this mood of separation. Now, I actually found a very nice blog entry from Sriman Tarun Gopinatha Prabhu, who created this entry about 6 years ago. And so I want to go ahead and share that with you because it is just so well said, and the citations are so wonderful, and it is so poetically written that I feel that it's going to do a much better job than any little meager drops that I can, give you this morning. So let me go over there and get my device. Trusty dusty iPad. And let me open this. Okay. So I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. Not all of it, because some of it is going to have it's going to go right over your head. Going to going right over my head as well, to a degree, that's for sure. Okay. So let me read this again. Yugayitam nimishena chakshusha pavrishayitam sunyayitam jagad sarvam Govinda virahena me. O Govinda, out of separation from you, the whole world appears to be void. Tears are streaming from my eyes like showers of rain, and a single moment appears to me like a millennium. So the purport, getting into the inner meaning of this, it's explained so nicely here about the shift in consciousness. So remember, Chaitanya, when he is teaching, he is, quote, in an external consciousness, right? He is relating to the outside world. But now, the Lord leaves his sadhaka consciousness and shows his mahabhava condition by speaking this verse. Srila Kaviraj Goswami depicts it as follows. Rasanta vershe huelo viyoga spurana udvega vishada danye kore pralapana. When the Lord entered another mood, another rasa, he felt separation and uttered this verse in an agitated and humble state of mind. Explanation. The sadhaka condition of the Lord disappeared, and he entered into his usual mood of Srimati Radharani's love in separation as he felt it while staying at Puri. The waves of agitation, lamentation, and humility, which are sanchari bhavas in the ocean of Mahabhava that is in the Lord's heart, began to come up when he spoke the 7th verse. So this is so beautiful. This is explaining that, these emotions, they are like waves in the ocean, in the heart, The highest love in Raj, especially that of the gopis, is love in separation. Separation is one of the reasons why the love of the gopis is so great and glorious. Love has two bodies. One is called meeting, sambhoga, and the other is called separation, vipralanga. If prema is the ingredient of separation, then everyone must accept that there is as much bliss and astonishment invested in it as in union. That's why viraha has been called a rasa, and the Goswamis have said that the taste of separation is even more astonishing than the taste of meeting. Srimad Sanatan Goswami writes in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and then there is a very long explanation in Sanskrit from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, but I'm going to skip straight to the English translation. So here the Lord is talking to Narada Muni. Narada Muni is a sage and mystic that plays a musical instrument and that can travel anywhere in the universe whenever he likes. So this conversation, Krishna is saying, O divine sage, although separation may at first burn severely, like a forest fire in remembrance of the beloved, and may cause sorrow and pain, still this misery is ultimately the topmost ecstasy, which is even more praiseworthy than the bliss of meeting the lover. It manifests itself as an indescribable abundance of joy, because it is a transformation of transcendental love. Only the rasikas, the transcendental connoisseurs, know this. After the misery of separation has ceased, the heart is immersed in the exquisite ecstasy of meeting the beloved. The heart that is afflicted by feelings of separation will always desire to be fixed in moods of great sorrow, and will be very sad if there can be no moments in which there is no eagerness and sorrow because of separation. Even those who have no taste for the sorrow of separation will consider feelings of separation to be very helpful in giving them intense remembrance of the beloved. Then it says, Srila Sanatana Goswami praises the ecstasy of separation from Krishna here as being greater than the ecstasy of meeting. So it goes on like this. So what's fascinating and what's interesting about this description of this mood is that I love this part where it says, the heart that is afflicted by feelings of separation will always desire to be fixed in moods of great sorrow and will be very sad if there can be no moments in which no eagerness and sorrow because of separation. So let's try and wrap our minds around that. So basically, when we're in a conditioned state, when we're in a material state, our main activity is trying to avoid misery and unhappiness. That is pretty much the definition of material existence. Pretty much everything that we're doing, if you analyze it, is a desire to escape from, the unhappiness that we feel in this world due to various reasons, due to various circumstances, due to bodily conditions, due to living conditions, due to other living entities, due to so many things. We're always trying to find refuge from that in some way. And of course, love or true love, if we could only find that true love, that is considered to be, by many, to be the ultimate refuge, right? The ultimate escape. But, of course, paradoxically, in that love that we may find, there is separation, which we don't really want. Of course, in this material world, we are separated from those we love, through death and through circumstances. We are separated in this way. We may live in a particular town and then we move to another town, or our beloved moves to another town or goes to a different school, or so on and so forth. In the spiritual world, there is no question of being separated in this way. I mean, these pastimes are being acted out. Good morning. Make a comment so I know you're here. It's nice to see you. I'm on my iPhone today, so I can't see who you are without you making a comment. But in this, as I was saying, in the spiritual world, there is no question of separation, because the Leela, these pastimes, are taking place in a village. They're taking place in an eternal abode. In the spiritual world, that is called Goloka Vrindavan. There is the manifestation of that eternal village here in the material world in Vrindavan, India, which is considered to be non-different than Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world, if you have the eyes to see it, of course. So if you are in the right consciousness, if you are in the right consciousness. So Srimati Radharani, still is actually feeling sad if she can't experience a sadness from the separation, because that allows her to taste and to dive into other aspects of this rasa, of this mood in separation, of anticipation, of seeing the beloved. In other words, Srimati Radharani even says that she considers this mood of separation to be more relishable than being united, than in Sambhoga with the beloved. So this is pretty amazing. Here, when we experience different aspects of misery or sadness. It's simply that. It is simply sad and miserable. It's depressing. There is no ecstasy to be found in that. But in the spiritual world, it's a different thing, because all the emotions that we are experiencing in the spiritual world are different kinds of ecstasy, are different aspects of happiness. And this is what separates the wheat from the chaff. This is what makes spiritual life, and this is what makes living in the spiritual world. This is what makes rasa. This is what makes our spiritual identity so incredibly sublime and so beyond anything that we experience here. Actually, coming to mind is a song by Stevie Wonder. It's called Joy Inside My Tears, right? It's a beautiful song. And the mood of it is kind of somber in a way. So when you first start listening to it, you think, wow, you know, it's kind of sad. But as you go on and listen to the song, it starts to reverberate, you know, in your heart in a different way, where he is explaining that there's actually joy inside of his tears. This is probably the best example or the best mirror that I can give to explain what it is that Srimati Radharani is experiencing. So to get back to this example of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, again, Chaitanya as the divine masculine, because remember, he is the divine masculine who is playing in the mood of the divine feminine and is actually experiencing and tasting something that he cannot taste in his regular position, right? Krishna actually has to leave. He actually has to incarnate, you know, he actually has to have an avatar, a special avatar that combines his masculine and feminine side in order to experience this ecstatic love experienced by Srimati Radharani, the embodiment, the incarnation, if you like, of the divine feminine. So that's a little taste of what the Sikshastakam verse 7 is about. Sri Radhika said, when I consider the difference between union and separation, I think that separation is better. When I am together with Krishna, I see him only at one place. But when he is away from me, I see all the three worlds filled with him. When one is separated from someone in the material world, one feels just misery. Only separation from Krishna is the pinnacle of bliss. How can someone who has never cried while saying Krishna know how blissful that is? Only a person who has this prema in his mind can know its power. It is like the meeting of poison and nectar. Externally it burns like poison, but internally it is full of bliss. How wonderful is the nature of love for Krishna. So yeah, this is really deep. I am experiencing it, or I am appreciating it from the explanation of Sanatana Goswami and of Krishna himself and of Srimati Radharani, that there is different layers of ecstasy. There's different layers of feelings in a rasa. There's different aspects of it, you know, like a beautiful crystal or a diamond is a crystal. And it has so many different facets to it, not just one facet to it. And when you look, through the crystal, you can see, different aspects of light and colors and rainbows and so many things in it. So this is the quality of transcendental life, and this is the quality of transcendental love. That it is indeed eternal and everlasting, but it is not homogeneous, it is full of variety. And that because of our experiences here in the conditioned world, we can start to, get a glimpse or kind of remember a little bit by comparison what it was actually like, or what it is like to be on that uninterrupted platform of prema, which is pure love. Of course, in conclusion, Chaitanya is experiencing Maha Prema because he is God. So, because he is God, he is experiencing these emotions on a scale that we cannot. We are jiva, we are very, very small. Of course, the love that we feel and the ecstasy that we feel, of course, will be enough for us. But I just wanted to, say that there is a difference between Maha Bhava or, Maha Prema and the Prema, that we experience as jivas. They are of the same quality, of course, but they are not of the same quantity, just based on scale. So, I hope that you join me next week for the conclusion of the Sikshastakam of verse 8. I really appreciate you hanging with me. This is pretty esoteric stuff, but I feel it's important to share now because Chaitanya is the avatar for this time, and he is attracting us, and he is expressing all the beauty of reinstating ourselves into our eternal transcendental position where we are never experiencing the misery that we experience in this material world. It is a beautiful expression of the variety and the individuality that we will experience, that we can actually experience here and now if we can advance to this platform. Of course, if you go back through the other videos, you'll get an idea that this is not something cheap, that this is something that we get to by shedding and by purifying the anartas, or the material conditionings and contaminations that we have experienced here. But that's not who we really are. So what else can I say in conclusion is that I hope that you enjoyed this. I know that this is mysterious. Again, Mahaprabhu is a great saint and mystic, and but this is just to give us a little taste and a little glimpse, and to provide the groundwork in the Sikshastakam previous as to what we can expect to experience, and the mood, and what are the things and that we need to do to prepare the ground for this, humility and all of these different things that will open the door to this wonderful way of being. All right then, so I'm going to go over to Instagram. I'm going to be on Instagram at 9:35 a.m. to do this live as well. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great week. Namaste.